My name is Adam Khan. I'm the Associate Dean for the Faculty of Fine Arts, and I want to welcome you to this webinar. I think it's our first experience to do this, and we're really excited to be sharing all the wonderful information about all the places, that famous Dr. Seuss line, all the places you could go and do. This could open up your world, and we hope that you find some information that will be helpful to you. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that I am on the traditional territories of the Lekwungen people. I hope that all of you, wherever you live or wherever you're watching from this, that you have a moment to acknowledge the lands from which that you are living or working on. For us, it includes the Esquimalt, Songhees, and Wasanic First Nations, whose historical ties to the land continue to this day. And hopefully your first year experience at UVic has had a chance for you to really kind of start to explore all those possibilities of how you can be part of the truth and reconciliation process. I'd like to introduce you to Allison Benner from Co-op, who will begin this wonderful webinar session. Allison, over to you.
Thanks, Adam.
Oh, Allison, I forgot to mention one thing.
Yep.
Everybody, down at the bottom in the menu, there's a Q&A, whatever you call it, tab, and you can just click on it and write all your questions. We'll see them, and then we'll make sure that we answer them for you. So if you have questions along the way, just go ahead and type them in. Back to you, Allison.
Thanks. Sorry, everyone, I'm just sharing my screen here, and then I will talk, honestly. So thanks for coming here today. I'm Allison, the co-op coordinator for Fine Arts and Humanities. And today I just want to give you a brief overview of how co-op works, and then a few little stories about some of the students who've been in the program across the 5 different fine arts departments to give you that picture. And then I'm going to let you know about how to get more information about the program and to get in touch with me and when you can apply. Okay, so I'm just going to get started here. So you might be wondering, well, what is co-op? So it's an opportunity to get paid work experience in your field while you are still a student. And it's also a chance for you to kind of find out how the skills you're gaining through your fine arts degree might apply in various kinds of workplaces, and some of which that you might not have thought about. We have a very flexible program that's been going very, very well in the past few years, with a lot of placements, increasing numbers of fine arts students being placed in really interesting opportunities. And you can join the program as early as the beginning of your 2nd year. So this is timely that you're here now. Anytime from then until your last year. The sooner is better. Sooner is better than later. But I just wanted you to know that you can join at various points in your degree. If when you come back to campus in the fall, as we all hope will happen as planned, you'll be walking around, and on the various digicasters around the campus, you will see ads for things like the co-op program. You'll see ads for, join work experience. You might see something that says join the post-study internship. I'm here as the ambassador to tell you that all of those things, those different programs, they're all iterations of the same kind of program where you take a given number of semesters off from your studies and to do this paid work. If you do 3 or 4 semesters of work before you graduate, that's the co-op program. If you don't think you want to do 3 or 4 and you just want to do 1 or 2, we call that work experience, but in every way it's the same. If you come to me at the very, very end of your degree and you want to do 1, 2, or 3 work terms, we call it post-study internship. I'm just going to call all of that co-op, just for the sake of simplification. So I'm just going to go through the 5 departments, introduce you to a few of the students who I've gotten to know over the last 6 years that I've been doing this work. So here, starting off, is Natasha. So Natasha is a recent graduate. She was in the writing program. And her first work term, she worked at the Vancouver Island South Film and Media Commission. So she had a very administrative role, which if you're just looking at it on paper, might not have been hugely attractive on the face of things. However, because she was working there, she was planning events for people in the film industry and also helping filmmakers find locations for the films that they were filming on Vancouver Island. So you can imagine that as an opportunity to build a professional network in the film industry that she might not otherwise have gained. So that was her first work term. And then in her second work term, she worked at used.ca, which for those of you who don't know that, in the Victoria area, at least, that's where you can go online and buy second or used goods. It's owned by Black Press that runs the newspaper, a lot of the newspapers in BC. So she worked as a marketing assistant doing social media and website work, promoting what they were doing. In her final work term, she worked where she's pictured there in the photo. She worked as an events assistant for Festivals Kelowna. So she was planning all of their summer festivals and really enjoyed that. So that's one particular type of a co-op story of somebody who worked in a variety of places while they were in their degree, all of which took advantage of the skills they had in their writing degree in different ways. Okay, so there are other stories coming up. So now I'm introducing you to Adar. So Adar was a music student. He was in the combined music and computer science program at UVic. So he completed 3 work terms, but unlike Natasha, all 3 of his work terms were with the same employer. That was his choice. So he started out in his first summer of work terms. He worked so all of them were at Byte Camp. They offer technology camps that often have like a digital media technology and sometimes music things included, but technology is kind of the unifying theme there. And so he first started out working as an instructor at the summer camps that they operate there. He really enjoyed it. And so he chose to go back for 2 more summers. But what happens when you do that is often your responsibilities increase. And so by the time he ended on his last summer at working at Byte Camp, he was the tech director of the organization and also the regional manager of their programs across all of Vancouver Island. And so that was a natural stepping stone for him after he graduated to be hired on in that role as a permanent job. So he did that for a while, which gave him rounded out his resume. And now he actually works at PG Music as a software developer. So he ended up doing something which is the perfect synthesis of his combined major in music and computer science. Now, other stories can be quite different. So here's Elizabeth, who graduated a little while ago with her art history and visual studies degree. So she started out doing something that would be fairly intuitive for somebody who would be in that discipline. So she worked at the Mission Museum and she was managing their community programs for the summer at the museum, which she really enjoyed. In the following summer, she had a slightly different job. It was at the Pender Islands Community Hall, and they had a lot of sort of arts summer programs, which is what initially drew her to that job. But it had a huge, you can see her at that job. She's at this desk with all these, at her computer and all these papers spread on the table. And so there was a huge administrative and organizational aspect to that job, which she enjoyed more than she would have thought and was very good at that. So she took a 3rd co-op before she graduated in something she never could have imagined she would have done. So she worked in financial services and operations for the Ministry of Forests in, this very organizational role. So sometimes when you're on your co-op journey, you find that the skills, people in art history and visual studies, for any of you who are out there who might be in that department and taking those courses, yes, you have a strong interest in art and visual communication, but part of that whole interest in collections, it's a huge attention to detail and organization. So sometimes you find that you have a skill set that fits in a completely different job that you just really didn't imagine when you started in your degree at UVic. So that's a different kind of co-op journey. So after she graduated, she now works in an executive administrative role in the BC government. I don't think she would have got there without some of those co-op experiences to kind of discover what her transferable skills were. My fourth story today is of Chantal, who's currently a visual arts student at UVic. So you might not know this, but you can, through the program, start a business. You can do an entrepreneurial co-op if you have a business idea that you want to pursue and focus on. You could do that for one semester, or you could do it over several different semesters and be kind of building up your business as you go along. Chantal herself is on her fourth entrepreneurial co-op right now as we speak. So her business that she's created is called Heart Seeds Creative. And I've seen it change a lot over the 4 work terms. Have you ever started writing a paper or had a friend who was maybe in an honors degree doing a thesis, and they started out and their idea, it seemed pretty good, seemed reasonable, and then they found out that it was far too big, and then eventually it got narrowed down into something that was more and more realistic to achieve? That's what Chantal's been doing over those 4 entrepreneurial work terms. So now she's working on something where she does art workshops for artists. And so that kind of mentorship piece of what she's doing is there. She also has a strong interest in herbal medicine, and that's in there. And all of this is supporting her own artistic practice. So many of you out there who want to be practicing artists when you graduate, a lot of you will in fact be entrepreneurs of one kind or another, whether you start a business or not. So I wanted you to know that that's also an option in the co-op program. Now, for my fifth story, I'm actually going to stop talking and I'm going to introduce you to Logan Swain, who is just finishing up his theater degree at UVic, and he could speak to his experience far more eloquently than I can. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and give Logan the floor.
Yeah, hi everybody. It's nice to be here to talk to you. So Allison said, my name is Logan Swain and I'm a theater student at UVic. And I'm currently wrapping up my 4th co-op semester with Theater Scam. So Theater Scam is a professional theater company in Victoria. Been around for 26 years that creates new plays, operates a pop-up theater, produces an annual festival called Stampede, and teaches drama classes for children and youth. And over my 4 terms, I've had the chance to do a variety of roles, such as co-producing the annual festival, designing and production managing a presentation of a new Canadian play, and managing space and equipment rentals at the Scam satellite studio. And I've also had the opportunity to learn a lot of aspects of arts administration, so budgeting, grant writing, tour planning, and recently, my last 2 terms, a lot of writing and maintaining policies, COVID and otherwise. Yeah, and my co-op specifically, all 4 terms have been funded through the BC Arts Council Co-op Placements Grant, which helps eligible organizations in the arts, including dance, media, museums, music, theater, and visual arts, hire co-op students by providing a grant to assist with the wages of the student. So the way I got into that is I attended one of the co-op sort of meet and greet mixer events with prospective employers, and then had an interview after that and was then chosen as the student that was going to be included in the grant. And then I suggested, hey, you know, I want to keep working at the company. Why don't we apply for the grant again? And if we get it, I'll delay my graduation. So originally I was going to be a work experience student, but then decided to be a co-op student to keep working with Theater Scam and keep being a co-op student, which I've loved. It's been the best part of my degree. Because you kind of get to live in both worlds of being a student, but also being a working professional in whatever sort of area of the arts you're looking to go into. So I definitely recommend talking to Allison and reaching out to companies in the arts, because a lot of them don't know about co-op students at all, or that there's specific funding to hire them. Yeah, it's definitely like it's been a great chance for me to learn hands-on and continue my education while also working professionally and making lots of great connections. And it's turned into sort of an ongoing job for me. I'm sticking with Theater Scam and I'm not leaving next month when my co-op ends. I get to stay with the company hopefully for many years to come. So can't recommend co-op enough.
Thanks a lot, Logan. I just noticed there's a couple of questions I'll ask now. You may have more that come up later, but there was a question about international co-op. So yes, like in case you're curious, co-op students in my program work in Victoria, they work all over BC, all over Canada, but there's also the opportunity to do international co-op. And we do have a special international co-op office. So you join the program that's in your discipline, but then you get this extra support in trying to find an international co-op, either through things that get posted by international co-op or by kind of like Logan, seeking out that opportunity, but gaining the support for the employer to hire you. And yes, you can do co-op terms. You can work for 4 months at a time, but there are students who would work 8 months or 6 months. You could even, if you wanted to, work a whole year of 3 semesters in a row, and do get the co-op designation just from doing that. So the short answer to all that kind of question, which you might have for me later, is that there's a lot of flexibility in the program to structure it the way that best suits your own interests and your own plans over your degree. Before I pass the baton to my colleague, Joy Andrews, the career educator, I was just wondering, I was going to give my contact information and a link to my program page where people can get more information. And I was going to post this in the chat and realize that's not the place to do it, I don't think, on this webinar. So is it possible for me to post something into the Q&A? Will people see that?
You actually can post it into the chat if you just select to panelists and
I can do that. Okay. All right. In the interest of time, I'm just going to pass it over to Joy, but if you want to look for more information, it will be there in the chat for you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Allison. I'm just sharing my screen. Hi, everybody. So I'm Joy, and I'm the career educator for students in fine arts. And I wanted today to pick up on where Allison left off. Now that you've heard about how co-op can support you in building your career, I want to tell you what you can do this summer to continue to build your resume and take some positive steps. And so as your career educator, I'm available to you throughout your degree and when you graduate. And career services can support you this summer. One of the steps that I encourage you to do this summer, because you've all been working really hard and I'm sure you want to have some fun this summer, is just talk with friends and family to explore careers you're interested in. And so one of the reasons that people tell me they may be reluctant to talk with folks about their career is they may be worried that they're going to ask, so what are you going to do with your degree? And as someone that's early on in your degree, you may not have a ready answer for that question. And so I want to give you an answer that you can share with people so that it makes it easier for you to open that conversation. As you know, 2020 has been a real example of how the world of work changes dramatically and unexpectedly. And so here in front of you on my screen, you can see 21st century skills. And I want you to just glance over this list of skills: critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication. And I just want to reassure you that everything you're doing in your degree is reinforcing those strengths for you so that when you graduate, you are going to have some great skills that any employer is going to be really happy to have. And so that's something really important. When people ask you, what are you going to do with your degree? You can say, I'm sure it'll be something exciting, and I'm building that as I do my degree. Tune in again next year and I'll tell you where I'm at. And so then, how can you take steps this summer in order to continue to build your degree? And so one of the features that we do for career services each summer is this feature called Shift into Summer. And if you're not sure where to start looking for a great summer job that can help you to continue to build your experience, you can go to this Shift into Summer. I'll put the link to this into the chat in a moment, but I just want to show you what you can expect there. What we do is we curate some great summer jobs that you might be interested in applying for. And so you can just come here, click on this, look at the jobs that are available, and see if there's something you'd be interested in applying for. Now, the other thing I want to just mention right now, if you know you have a great summer job that pays good money, and you know you can go do it safely this summer, and you don't want to shift to a different type of work because you know you've been doing this, by all means, keep doing that job this summer. Because like Allison was talking about, all artists need to understand business. And so if you're working in a labor job or in some other type of work, just pay attention to what you can learn about business skills while you're doing that job. So whatever your summer job is, or if you decide to do some sort of voluntary work this summer, that's great too. It can all build towards the skills that are going to help you create a career that's meaningful for you. Now, if you don't want, this gets updated each week. If you don't want to wait and you're a keen, proactive person, you can go to the Co-op and Career portal. You can go to career and general job postings. I did a search just yesterday and saved my jobs. And I noticed there was a new one for camp leaders at Glen Lyon Norfolk House. There's a career posting in there that you might be interested in having a look at the Nanaimo Art Gallery. That's a career job that you might get post-graduation, but that'd be something interesting to have a look at. And then there's this other one at the Strathcona Wilderness Institute. Now, this is not an obvious job that someone in fine arts might see as relates to you, but if you look at what this job is all about, the ideal candidate will meet the following qualifications. You all meet this as post-secondary level students. And so look at some of the skills that are required. And if you're someone that has a real interest in the outdoors, maybe this is something you'd like to apply for the summer. And so there are two sources to find summer jobs that you could apply for to continue to build towards a meaningful career that you will do when you graduate. And now, I want to just suggest some steps for you to think about for the summer. So try to take small steps. Don't feel overwhelmed about biting off the huge piece of what am I going to do with my career, but just try taking some small steps. Try new experiences. If something comes up that looks interesting to you and you can fit it into your schedule this summer, great, give it a try. Like I say, ask people about the work that they do. Just be curious and talk to people and say, what do you like about your job? What makes it interesting? And then try to plan a next step when you can fit it in. And my final point that I want to make to you is, following this session, if you want help to update your resume so that you can apply to one of those summer jobs, or if you feel like you want some support to do some career research right now and dig into what kind of career you want to see in your future, or anything else career related, I hold a career help drop-in on Mondays between 1 and 3. And for this coming Monday, I'm reserving an extra hour, especially for fine arts students. And so if you would like to come to this drop-in on Monday, if there happens to be a lineup and you don't want to wait in the lineup at 1 o'clock, you can pop back in at 3 o'clock if that's convenient, and it'll be time just for you. And I'm sure I'll be able to see everybody that wants to come and see me. And so I'm just going to stop sharing my screen for a moment because I want to put a few links. And thank you, Allison, for asking that question about how to put the links in, because I have a few that I want to put in. I'm going to put in the Shift into Summer so that you can refer to that. And I've put that to all attendees. And then the career and general job postings, you know, we went to look at the co-op and career portal where I found those additional job postings. And that's right there. And then I'm going to directly put the Zoom link for this Monday into the chat. So, did I put that in? There. And so in the chat right now, that's the Zoom link for the drop-in this Monday between 1 and 4. And you are welcome to drop in. It's a 15-minute chat with me, and you can bring a resume, bring a career question, and I will be delighted to have a conversation with you. And good luck. I hope that you have a good summer ahead. And back to you, Adam.
Thanks, Joy. Wow, that sounds like fun. In fact, it sounds like more fun than getting lost in YouTube. Be able to search around and go, that'll be a new rabbit hole. Thanks so much. Thanks to you, and thanks to Logan, and thanks to Allison. If you have any questions, folks, as you're watching, don't forget to use the Q&A, and we can ask them, even if you think of it a little bit later on. But next, I want to introduce you to the Fine Arts Academic Advisor, Sarah Reekin. And she is the wise sage on all things about your degree. And anything you ever wanted to know about your degree or what you should choose, Sarah is our go-to person. Sarah, all yours.
Okay, thanks, Adam. I'm just going to share my screen and take you to the homepage of the Fine Arts Academic Advising website. And I'm just going to let you know right off the bat that I'm offering Zoom drop-in appointments all weekdays in the afternoons. So you can contact me on the same day you want to schedule an appointment and reach out to me. And we might have an email back and forth to go over your questions, but then I'd be really happy to meet with you and have a conversation. I'm really thrilled to have this opportunity to connect with you through this webinar, and I'd be thrilled to talk with you in person. It really makes my day, and it's a nice way to finish the afternoon by having a nice conversation. And now I'm going to move on and share. Can you let me know with a thumbs up, one of the panelists, if you can see my shared PowerPoint at this point, or if I need to go back and reshare. Okay. Here we go. We're going to go back and reshare on my PDF. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to start with sort of some of the nuts and bolts of some of the things I talk about with students. And right now, what we're talking a lot about is anticipating course registration. So just so everyone's aware, summer registration is open now and has been since March. There still are courses with open seats, but there are a number that have wait lists. So if you're thinking about summer registration, check on the class schedule and you can see what's open. But looking ahead to winter session, which is next year's fall and spring terms, I want to let you know that by mid-May, that'll be when you can start concretely planning using the class schedule, because that's when we'll post the schedule for both terms. By early June, you're going to get an email from the registrar's office to alert you that your time ticket, your registration date and time is available to view in your online tools account. And your date is going to be somewhere between June 15th and 30th. It's a little bit earlier this year. And so I want to remind you to remember to make a plan to add courses in both terms and to not delay registering, because we are seeing a real resurgence in students coming back and interested in taking classes. And I can anticipate you will be waitlisted if you delay. And I'm hoping to have really positive conversations with you about your planning. And it's always sad when I'm talking to a student in late August who is looking at what's left over. There may be something, but not a lot. I also want to give you a tip that some of our departments have reserved their courses for their majors, and that includes visual arts, music, theater, and writing. At least some of their courses are reserved for majors. They open their classes to non-majors, and this year they've mostly selected July 9th as their release date. So if some of you are in a program and looking to take classes of interest in another program, July 9th would be an interesting day to log on and quickly try to get seats and anything else that might be interesting. So for example, if you are in an art history program and you're thinking you'd like to sample some digital arts and you want to take Art 106 on July 9th, that class would be open to you. So I'm getting a lot of questions about course registration, and what I would suggest is just waiting till mid-May when the class schedules come out to start your planning, and then reach out to me if you have questions about how what you see on the schedule matches with your program requirements. So program requirements takes me to my next step. So I'm constantly advertising to students, as soon as you have finished your first year, you have at least 12 units of credit, which means you've done 8 classes. You are probably eligible to declare your major. And a lot of students think, well, why should I declare my major? Because I've already been admitted to my program. There's nothing else to do. But oh, yes, there is. So I'm all about program declaration because that gets you access to your own custom degree evaluation report, where you can confirm your graduation requirements and actually track your progress. And you're actually required to declare your major. You have to do that in order to apply to graduate, but it would be really wise to do that as soon as possible, just so we can make sure we're on the same page about what exactly you need to take to graduate with your intended program. It's really simple to declare your major. You just reach out to me by email and I will help you. We don't have a separate form in fine arts. I use email contact for almost everything. So my email is fineartsadvising@uvic.ca. And if you're participating in this webinar, you probably have second year standing and you may be ready. There may be requirements or departmental permission, depending on your specialization or your focus area, if you're in theater or in music, or perhaps if you're considering an honors program. So I can talk with you about if there's any extra requirements. And if some of you are not yet eligible to declare, or you're contemplating a complex program plan, maybe you're mixing programs together or you have transfer credit, we can come up with what's called a what if report, where I can show you your own custom degree report before you're actually declared. And I'm just gonna, the last thing I'll say on this slide is program declaration isn't intended to be scary or it is a serious matter, but you can always change your programs. Before the point of graduation, I see students adding and removing programs all the time. So if you're working with Joy and Allison on career ideas and career options, and you think of a different way to track your degree, I can work with you to make changes. So on my next slide, I just want to point out that you're all in a major program or a combined major program, but you do have the option to add a program. Most degrees include some elective spaces. Some have a lot and some have a little. And you do have the option to concentrate your electives in a second area. And that could be by doing a double major or by adding a minor or doing both. We also offer some really interesting certificates in cultural and language proficiency. And so you could use some of your electives to concentrate them in one of those really interesting certificates. There's helpful tools to help you figure out if you have electives for your degree and how many of them are still available. We have program planning worksheets, we have your degree report, and you can also reach out to me. Before I finish the information I'm going to provide, I'm not going to go over in too much detail the various options because there just are so many, but I wanted to provide a sample list of some minor programs that most of you would be eligible to add. And I took some time today to look up the programs and break them down based on the number of courses they would take to complete. So I find this is a really interesting list to look at, and you can think that adding a minor might extend your primary study area. So if you're an art history major, you could think about museum studies, but you might also think about public administration if you're considering working in government, or business, because there's a multitude of organizations that could use accounting and commerce and marketing skills, and that would complement really well your primary study area. This is just a sampling. I've put physical education on here because some of our fine arts students are going into teaching and might want to develop a second teaching area. There's just so much variety here. So I hope that some of the options I've listed, if they're raising a curiosity and you have a question, please reach out to me again by email. We'll have a conversation. We can meet in person and we can see what fits just right for you. And that's where I'm going to end the information I provided, because I really do want to focus on your plans to complete your term. I know you're all really busy right now. And then planning for registration for next year and thinking about what programs you want to start locking into place to make your program planning and course registration planning really accurate. Okay, and I'll look forward to hearing from you all. Thanks, Adam.
Thanks so much, Sarah. That was great. So many exciting things to choose from. I think that's the difficult part. What do they choose? And that's probably the biggest question they probably ask of you is, where do I go? What do I do? Yes, the world is your oyster. Well, we haven't had any questions yet. Folks, if you're attending, there was one for Sarah. Can you talk a bit about having a second teaching area?
Yeah, so teaching areas relate to those who are going on to teacher education studies who are thinking about teaching K to 12 and they need to get a teaching certificate. The Faculty of Education at UVic offers education programs, and one in particular is called the Secondary Post-Degree Professional Program. They have what they call teaching areas. And so while you're doing your degree, you'll take courses, sets of courses that match their teaching area admission requirements. I would work with you and with the education advisor. So you would be needing to connect with two different offices if you're planning on education, because you're actually going to be entering a second degree program. So the courses you take for your program, your UVic degree, your first degree, could help you with preparing for admission to that education program. And we have lots of visual arts and music students who go on into teaching, and some of those students decide to have a second teaching area. A music student might prepare to teach French, for example, or a visual arts student might prepare to teach, maybe Spanish or English or even computer science.
Can you see that question? Can we declare our major now?
So if you want to just type into the chat, Hannah, what program you're in, I'd be able to let you know a little bit with more specific information. Most students are eligible to declare their major. So your theater, once you have at least your first year done and at least 12 units. If you're in theater, you'd be automatically eligible to declare a self-directed focus area. If you were thinking about a different focus area, there might be some additional courses to take in second year and grades to consider. And I can share more about that with you if you'd like to contact me.
Tronga asks, if I'm currently in the combined program, computer science and visual arts, do I need to declare, I guess, the major?
Yes, yeah, Trong, you do. So as soon as you finish your first year, you should reach out to me to declare your major. Just send me a note by email to fineartsadvising@uvic.ca, and I'll help you get set up with your own custom degree report. And students in every single fine arts program, whether it's a major or a combined major, need to declare their major. Most students are doing that when they're finishing first year or second year. We'll probably see about an even split between the 2 years.
There's a question from Ethan. What benefits does an honors degree grant you? Ethan is in visual arts.
Okay, so that's a really good question. So Ethan, an honors program in visual arts is going to let you study more intensively and take a greater number of upper level visual arts classes. Have you heard about the team taught art classes in the department? They're third and fourth year classes that are interdisciplinary, where students actually get their own studio space in the visual arts building that is part of the honors program. And all honors students take these intensive team taught classes in 3rd and 4th year, as well as the graduating exhibition class. They participate in the exhibition and they actually organize the exhibition. Those courses are optional for majors, but they're core to the honors experience. And I think the department does recommend, if you're thinking about going on into an MFA program, perhaps you want to teach art at a post-secondary level at some point, that you would consider the honors program. And you can prepare to enter that program by registering, applying to register in Art 306 or 395 when you're going into 3rd year.
Thanks, Sarah. Do any of the attendees have any other questions that you can pose? Oh, there's one from Madeline again. Is there a difference between which courses you have to take between the combined visual art and computer science program, BSc and BFA degrees?
That's a great question. There's actually no difference in the course requirements between the 2 degrees, but we do let students choose which degree they'd like to graduate with. I hope that answers your question, Madeline.
Anyone else have a question? Sorry, Sarah.
I'll just say these are great questions, and these are really common advising questions that I talk with students about over email and in person. So if you've got more questions like these, we should definitely be talking.
Yeah, John posted in the, I guess in the chat about the graduation exhibit starting on April 27th. If you haven't checked it out, folks, really worthwhile. It's always wonderful. Any other questions about advising or about careers or about co-op, or did Logan have any fun? Anything you can think of? Well, some of you might have personal questions that you might want to ask Sarah Regan, especially about something particular to your degree, or maybe something that's happened this first year that you want to discuss about working out, especially maybe some of you had heavy workloads and maybe you need student academic concessions, how to work through that if you have some questions, or how it will work with the progression of your degree, all those kinds of things. Sarah is really a great person to talk to about all of those to help you navigate that. That's our job, to support you through this process. So you're not alone. I know that John Threffel, who is there, is going to post, all the information for our panelists, and you can contact them. They're all there. So you might want to print screen to attendees so that you can keep that, and then you can just copy it into a Word document or something so you can see the picture, and then you can contact folks through there. I don't see any more questions. Any last thoughts? Allison, Joy, Sarah, or Logan?
I would just say, some of you might think about co-op, at the beginning of the 2nd year over the summer. And keep your eye open in the fall. If you have more questions, you can obviously contact me at the contact information that I provided, but we always have sort of recruitment town halls and so forth in September. The deadline to apply in the fall is September 24th. And prior to that time, there's lots of other opportunities to get more information about the program. So just wanted to say that as well.
Right. Sarah, you had a slide that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I could share one more slide that really talks about, just briefly, what you do if you're thinking about possibly changing your program, because that does happen. If you were thinking about leaving your current program, and I do have a number of students who are registered in one fine arts program where they're actually preparing to bridge to another program. So I'll just share that right now. So it does happen sometimes that you decide on another pathway. You may decide you want to change your major program or your degree. If you want to leave your current major program, there usually is an application required. Even if you're changing programs within fine arts, but often it happens that you're changing faculties. So for example, I had an art history student who decided to change to a BCom degree. And I had a student recently who's doing writing, and she decided she wanted to be a double major and do that with English, which was fine. She was in fine arts to do the double major, but then she decided she wanted to do English honors. And to do English honors, you have to be in the Faculty of Fine Arts. So she switched over to honors, you have to be in the Faculty of Humanities. So she switched over to humanities and then declared her English honors with a writing major from that faculty. So there may be reasons why you might come up with a reason to have a change. Usually you're using my UVic application to make that request. There may be deadlines. For example, at this point, most programs in fine arts are closed for September until 2022, September 2022. It's always best to seek advice from the office you're going to go to. And that would include if you're planning to change to another institution. You would want to seek admissions advice from the other institution about planning to transfer, apply there. But I will let you know if you're thinking about a double major, you can usually in most cases stay in the Faculty of Fine Arts to do that. And I can help you with coordinating the planning between the two programs. So I'll just finish that. Stop
Great.
sharing that.
Back over to you, Joy.
Thank you, Adam. I just wanted to make a quick mention. It's very specific to certain creative industry interests. So this happens to be Creative Industries Week in British Columbia. And I've put 2 links to events that happen tomorrow and Thursday. In case anybody is interested, and this goes to the website Creative BC, and it's a great thing to keep your eye on and see information about funding and developments within the creative industries. Thanks so much.
Great, thanks. And Logan.
Yeah, I'd just say, utilize Sarah, Allison, and Joy. They're phenomenal resources to help you figure out what you're doing. Do it sooner than later. Don't wait until the end of your second or the beginning of your third year to declare. Do it soon. It just gives you a lot more flexibility in figuring out what you want to do. And maybe if you don't know you want to do co-op, apply, do it. You gain access to a whole variety of jobs that you only get because you're a co-op student. Even if you don't take one, it's just, I can't recommend it enough. It's a great opportunity to expand your options.
Great, thanks, Logan. So thank you to Joy, and thank you to Allison, and thank you to Sarah, and thank you to Logan for being here and for sharing all the wonderful opportunities that are available to students. All the students who are in the attendees, you have their contact information if you want to contact and ask questions. Don't hesitate to contact through their email. And I thank you for coming today, and I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon. Enjoy the sunshine, go for a little walk, and we'll have a wonderful summer. I hope to see you in the fall. Thank you, everyone.